What can toddlers teach us about social movements and affecting change? I had a revelation today when my daughter was trying to climb into the bouncy house. Now, we'll say that climbing into the bouncy house was her main goal. That's what she wanted to accomplish. There are two ways that she could accomplish that. She could go around one side where she could easily climb up, or she could go up the slide. She opted to go up the slide. Would have been easy enough, more difficult than the other way, but it would have worked. But she also decided that she wanted to keep her socks on. She had three things. She had a goal that she wanted to accomplish, she had a way that she wanted to accomplish that goal, and then she had something unrelated, but still something that she wanted her socks on. If she changed something, then she would have been able to accomplish getting in the bouncy house. She could have decided that the way that she wanted to go should have been changed and went around the other side. Or she could have decided that her socks are hindering her progress and taken those off. She didn't want to change anything, and therefore she did not accomplish her goal. Why is that important? Why am I bringing this up? It's because so many things on the left are basically us wanting to keep our socks on and climb up the slide into the bouncy house. Our goals, from most people that I know and talk to on the left and myself, is basically the betterment in the lives of many people. We want to save the planet from climate change. We want Medicare for all. We want to have our voices heard, ending the corruption, a whole slew of things. The list is extensive. And then there are a few ways that we can go about affecting those changes. Those are getting into the bouncy house, right? That's our end goal. That's what we want. There are a few ways to do that: the slide or the ball pit. We can affect change by getting a very large number of people to effectively push politicians in the way that we want them to go, push corporations in the way that we want them to go, albeit that road is very difficult, but really it's one of the only ones we have since election politics. Getting people on our side put into positions of power has been a fruitless endeavor, and that's been proven by the squad's ineffectiveness on most issues: minimum wage, climate change, you name it. The list goes on. So what are the goals that are hindering that? What's stopping us from climbing that slide to effectively get into the ball pit or get into the bounce house and really obtain what we want to obtain? Well, those things, I'm not saying aren't important. They might be important. They might have merit. Okay, they might matter. But you have to look at what you can effectively change, what you should push to change, and look at the evidence and decide what is hindering that progress. There are a lot of things that the right does well, and one of which is propaganda. Fear-mongering is an effective tool and works very well, and there are many people I know that are with the left in spirit, many people I know that want police reform, many people want to see the minimum wage increase, many people want to end the wars, so on and so forth, tax the rich. But they don't vote for leftists. They don't vote for even Democrats. They vote on the other end of the spectrum because of culture war issues. Things like gender roles, things like trans sports, things like the slogan "abolish the police" or "all cops are bad." There are a number of things that you might feel very passionate about. But in order to accomplish our goals, those have to be set aside. We have to gather a very large coalition of people that have the same goals with us, even if they don't agree with everything that we say. So, for instance, I've mentioned this on Political Fight Club with Robert Durden before. I have a friend of mine, and he very much agrees that police kill too many innocent people, and that he wants reform and he wants more liberty when it comes to our lives as citizens, you know. But he does not believe in the BLM movement. He does not believe the system is inherently racist. Now, I can try to convince him differently, you know, but if I want him on my side, I'm not going to sit there for hours and make him upset at the movement, make him angry at me, and push him to vote for somebody that is antithetical to my goals or even his goals by trying to shove these beliefs down his throat when he's already on board with what I want. If I said, hey, there's a protest for police reform, you want to go with me? He'd be all about it. If I said, hey, there's a protest to end racism, well, he'd think that's a silly endeavor. And although I do believe that many of the systems are inherently racist, and that's a very long conversation with a lot of nuance, so summed that up real quick in a line. I'd much rather see police reform in an effective way that does what I want it to do, instead of just convince him that there's a lot of racism out there. You see where I'm coming from? Me convincing him the system's racist is me wanting to keep my socks on. If I spend all my time trying to convince him on those issues, I'm not going to have his help when it comes to achieving my goal of getting in the bouncy house. We have to let some things go, because infighting is preventing us from coming together. Alienating others because we don't see the world the way they see the world is preventing us from coming together. And if we don't come together, nothing's going to change. Toddlers are also very good at teaching you that arguing with logic and reason can sometimes be a completely pointless endeavor. Arguing with zealots or ideologues, people that just espouse talking points that don't ever show you real evidence to change your mind, that's like trying to convince a toddler of something using logic and reason. No, there are no monsters. No, you do not need to be scared of that bug. The list goes on. You have to find a different way to communicate to those people. Or you just have to give up entirely and say, well, you know, I'll let you make the mistake, and you'll learn that way.